Hello everyone, and welcome back to Attorneys React, where all your favorite internet-based attorneys respond to all the stupid that occurs in our world. Today we're responding to another standard roadside stop. The person who has tagged this video has tagged it by saying the cops pulled him over for no reason. Well, we're going to take a look at this video and try to determine who might be right, who might be wrong, who's breaking the law, who's being reasonable, who's not. Let's take a look at the video and try to see who's on their best behavior.
I know what's in here.
So what's your name and badge number?
Keenan, 3210.
Keenan,
Hey,
3210.
do you have a driver's ID?
Why do I have to give it to you?
I'm asking.
Hey. Let me just call her.
Do you have an ID on you? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'm gonna have you step out.
You're not allowed to open this door either. You don't reach into this car. Get off my finger.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to reach into this car.
Don't.
That's illegal as shit. I'm not fucking with you, and there's no reason for you to curse at me.
Listen, I asked for your ID. Do you have
And I
ID?
said I don't have ID, and I'm not giving you any, even if I did.
Huh?
I said I'm not giving it to you, even if I did. You have no reason to stop me. I'm a passenger in a car.
You don't have your seatbelt on.
I don't have my seatbelt on because I took it off when
No,
I
you
pulled this
didn't.
over. How you gonna
All right, so let's take a look at this on the issues, all right? So what we have here is apparently a standard roadside stop. They ask the passenger for ID. He doesn't necessarily need to have ID on him, of course, because he's not the one driving the car. He doesn't need to provide an ID because he's not legally required to have ID on him. So whether or not he has to provide his name and address and information like that is an issue that's determined by state law. Most states do require it for a lawful stop to provide name, address, and other identifying information. So most states do have that requirement. But of course, you can't be required to present actual ID if you're not required to carry it, and he's not. But the officer says that the passenger himself has committed a violation by not having a seatbelt on. He says that he observed the person not having a seatbelt on and he was able to determine this. So that might be a violation. Now, whether or not that's a primary violation is also going to be dependent on state law. In some states, a seatbelt violation is only a secondary law, which means that you can only cite them if you have another reason to pull the person over. You can't, in some jurisdictions, pull someone over just for the seatbelt, but in some jurisdictions you can. So that depends on the idiosyncrasies of the state law. Also, once we've pulled the person over, assuming we have the right to pull them over in the first place, we can cite for the seatbelt. But if we pulled over the driver because the passenger is not wearing the seatbelt, that would have to be a primary violation in order to pull over the car. So a little bit unclear on if we're pulling over the car for some other reason, and this is a secondary reason, or if we're pulling the car over because the passenger didn't have a seatbelt on, in which case we'd have to get into that primary secondary distinction. So a little bit unclear on the law, but either way, incidentally, assuming that the stop was lawful, the police do have the right to ask you to exit the car. The Supreme Court has upheld that before. So asking you to step out of the car as part of a standard roadside stop is a lawful order.
I had to go up. You was pulling us over. I wondering why. We in here talking about Jesus.
Okay. So you're making
flash behind
things
him.
extremely difficult.
I'm not making things extremely difficult. I'm making things extremely
Do you have
constitutional.
an ID? Yes or no?
That's what I'm
He
making.
said no.
What are you talking about? Constitutional.
I'm making it constitutional.
You're in a vehicle that was
I'm in a
legally
vehicle
stopped.
that was legally
Okay.
stopped. And
So,
you trying to say just
right
because
off
you
the
didn't see me
bat-
you didn't see me with a seatbelt on?
Right off the bat, that's enough to get your ID.
No, that's not enough to get me because I'm not driving the car.
It is.
No, it is
So,
not.
do you have?
No, he's right. It's not enough to get his ID because he's not legally required to have an ID as a passenger. As to whether or not they can get his ID, he is correct.
Give me a
on
supervisor,
your-
please. Give me a supervisor, please.
No, we're not getting you.
Yes,
supervisor
you're
until
getting
we're
it. So you're
safe.
not asking
So,
me. I asked 3 times already.
Yeah. So if it,
Can I have a supervisor?
I'll make sure it's safe for my supervisor.
Okay, why are you not? Well, so what? That's not who I am. Is not making anything
Do you have any
safe.
ID on you? Yes or no?
Why?
Because I'm asking you.
No, I do not.
No.
Nope, I don't.
All right. Do me a favor. Step out of the car.
Why am I stepping out of the car?
Because I'm asking you to step out of the car. Any weapons?
Plastic. You want to give him whatever you get?
Step out of the car.
That's a lawful order.
Put your hands up here. You have any weapons on you? Anything that can hurt me?
I got a pocket full of nails, a measuring tape, a pencil.
Standard roadside frisk, right? This is a terrorist stop at this point, right? Let's assume that we pulled over the car for a lawful reason. All right, if we pulled over the car for a lawful reason, we are doing a standard roadside detention. The Supreme Court has said we can pull the guy over. Once we haven't stepped out of the car, we can do a standard frisk. It's called a Terry search. We don't need probable cause in order to search search for things that might be harmful. We can't search for contraband, but we can search for weapons or other items that might be harmful to the officer. So, and his question, do you have weapons on you, is a perfectly lawful question as well for this reason. If you have things on you, you do have to inform the police because it's a question for their safety. The Supreme Court has spoken about those issues. So as to pulling them over, don't know. As to having to step out of the car, yes. As to the Terry frisk, yes. As to the questions, yes. As to his response, not ideal. Let's press on.
Any weapons, anything that could hurt me?
A nail possibly could hurt you. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Huh?
Do I still have a knife on me?
I don't know. I'm not.
I may have in my apron.
I asked you several times. You don't
And what did I say? The first time, you didn't ask me several.
Huh?
I haven't done anything illegal at all.
Step it.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Keep your hands up here for me, right?
No, I'll make sure. I'll make sure I'm recording all this.
You can record
Put
that.
your hands in your pocket.
Why ain't they going in my pocket?
Fair enough. They can say that.
So, this is the bullshit you go through. We wasn't doing nothing. Trying to tell me I didn't have my seatbelt on, which I did. So I should have videotaped that instead of the conversation that we were having prior to them pulling us up.
That is what?
Please do not give them my name.
Sir, I don't know why you're making this difficult.
Please do not give them my name because my name is not going to no database just because y'all decide to pull somebody over for something. I know how that works very well. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving you anything. I didn't do anything, so I'm not giving you anything.
All right, let me help you out. You can. It's up to you. You can keep that on, or but I wanted to talk to you. I'm going to give you an opportunity
Opportunity to what?
to
violate my rights?
no. Are you going to keep that on?
Yeah, you damn right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, then I'm going to explain it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a fingerprint scanner.
And I'm not going to give you my fingerprints either.
Okay, so listen to me. So when I bring that here, if you come back with something stupid, like a probation warrant, a traffic warrant,
You won't have none of those either.
then
Won't
I'm
have
going to
any.
have to take you in for that.
Okay, then you won't find any
You
of
would
those.
just give me your name. and
I'm
your
not
address.
giving you anything. You're violating my rights as we speak.
Okay.
You're violating my rights. Matter of fact,
Well, then maybe you should get
I
a
plead the
lawyer
fifth.
and you
No, I
can
don't
get
have to.
some,
I plead the fifth.
money out of it.
I plead the fifth. You know what?
Good for you.
Absolutely. What's your guys' name again? Miller?
4482.
4482.
Yeah.
Good for you for invoking your rights to remain silent. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I would just personally go on with actually saying I invoke my right to remain silent. That's a personal taste thing. I think saying I invoke my right to remain silent, I want a lawyer, is better than saying I plead the fifth. That's a personal taste thing. So you can say all three. Why not? Why pick and choose? Just do them all. I plead the fifth. I want to remain silent. I want a lawyer. Just cycle those three over and over and over. Why choose? Why not both?
And I'm sorry, what's the other name?
So, Mr. Dennis,
3210.
you have, would you like to provide your name and date of birth for me? Because I don't want to have to take you down to the station. If you're not going to give me your fingerprint either, I'm going to have to this is going to be a long process.
A long, arduous process.
You're a block away from being where you need to go. So, it doesn't really make much sense to me. But if that's the way you want to go, I have no problem taking you to get your ID.
I told you.
Ooh, okay. So if they want to remove him from the scene to take him to the police, that's going to be an arrest at that point, to move him to the police station in order to scan his fingerprints. So they can only do that if this is an arrestable offense. So is this an arrestable offense? Depends on the jurisdiction in sort of what the police can require and not, in sort of name and address and identification information. Again, they can't require you to give ID because you're not required to carry ID, unless of course you're driving the car, in which case of course you have the driver's license on you. But if you're just a passenger, not so much. But most states, I believe it's true, most states would require for a lawful stop for you to give your name and identifying information. So that request, I'm going to assume, is lawful. Whether or not they can arrest for that violation, I don't know. Depends on the state. So is that an arrestable offense? Don't know. Depends on your jurisdiction.
I want to see a supervisor. I've said that several times. I said,
get your ID.
So what? I'm not armed.
Okay.
And
but
both of y'all here with guns and tasers, right?
I don't know who you
And
are.
batons and whatever. So you don't know, what does that have to do with it? Then you shouldn't be worrying about nobody's safety. What? Someone turn up on a terrorist watch list or something?
Yeah, I mean, to give the police what little due we should here, turning up on the terrorist watch list, you might actually be surprised how many standard run-of-the-mill roadside stops expose things. I was covering a case on my own channel recently where a guy put in the wrong information in his GPS. And so he wound up at the Canadian border, okay? He wasn't expecting to be at the Canadian border. He put in the wrong information in his GPS. So he didn't have his passport on him. So Canadian Customs is like, open up the car. What do they find? $300 200 pounds of marijuana and $600,000 of cash. Just a standard run-of-the-mill everyday thing. But the idea that he's saying this is ridiculous, well, maybe a little less ridiculous than you might think, because yeah.
I got a tape measure on an apron from Home Depot.
Right.
With nails in it.
So nobody
So
here.
apparently I'm doing work.
Right. So what's happening?
So does that make me armed? You just frisked me.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, unless I'm going to beat you with the belt I got on and whatnot, that's pretty much nothing.
Are
I'm
you
not
in
doing
handcuffs?
anything. No, I shouldn't be anyway.
Okay. So what do you?
Am I
what do you-
detained?
Yes.
Am I being
Yes,
detained?
under
Then I don't
doubt.
have nothing else to say.
So you're not.
I
Gonna
don't have nothing else to say. I plead the fifth.
So you're gonna
Good
make
for
me
you.
take you all the way to 55th.
If you need to do that and whatnot, I'm going to sue you. I guarantee you that I'm going to sue you.
All right. Well,
And I'm going to make sure I personally attach my ass to your pension for the rest of your life. I'm going to make sure I sue you personally.
Good luck on getting access to his personal pension. Doubtful, even assuming that they're violating the law. On a 1983 complaint that you're going to go after the officer's personal assets, unlikely.
okay. Well, you and my baby's mother can do that as well.
I ain't got nothing to do with your baby mom. I'm just talking about what's going on right here. You're not going to sit up here and violate my rights. You're not. I haven't done anything. I'm a passenger in the car just because you think you didn't see my seatbelt on and you didn't see me take it off, which I don't understand how you seen it might have been on anyway. It's damn the same color as this damn hoodie. So I don't understand what's the whole point of you pulling me and asking me for ID. You're not even allowed to do that. Ask me for ID. No, you're not. You're absolutely not. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm a passenger. You pull him over. I'm sitting on this side. I didn't do anything wrong. So if he made a traffic infraction or if this car came up some kind of way messed up, which I'm sure it didn't because he's still in there.
You know, for a guy who invoked his right to remain silent, you do seem to be doing a lot of talking, sir. Just FYI, if you invoke your right to remain silent, the critical part of that is remaining silent. You can waive your right to remain silent by talking. So he said, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then started talking again. Guess what? His right to remain silent went bye-bye because he started talking. So the police don't have to honor it because he is the one that's reinstituting the discussion. Not going great over there. If you want to invoke your right to remain silent, then do that.
I'm well versed in this shit. That's why I'm like, if you want to fuck with me about it, that's fine. I don't want to go to jail tonight. I don't feel like going to no precinct. But you're not going to sit up here and just start chastising me or sit there and try to fucking accost me for sitting down in mind of my business with a phone in my hand. You're not going to do that.
All of the assets here.
Oh, yeah, and I said no. I'm not going to provide you with any identification whatsoever. There's no reason. What reasonable, articulate suspicion do you have that I have committed a crime?
I have a question. How far?
That's your question. What reason? What is your RAS?
Your RAS.
RAS, reasonable, articulable suspicion. That I've committed a crime. That's what get me the ID. What is that? 4802.
Your seatbelt.
3802. I did have my seatbelt on. You did not see it.
Did not see.
You did not see it.
So why wouldn't you?
So even if that's the case, let's say because I pulled it off because I drove up. In case I have to get out of his way, in case he needs something out of that car, I'm on this side. I'm doing my job as a passenger. Now, are you gonna get me a supervisor or what? I need a supervisor. I need a supervisor. I'm taking y'all qualifying. You want to play with me? You pick the right one. I'm willing to do time. And you're not going to get no information from me to try to ID me either. And no, I don't have any warrants or anything like that. But that's not the point. It's all about principle at this point.
Well, my friend, that brings us to the end of the video, and a interesting interaction to be sure. Assuming that we're in Texas, it seems like the police could pull over for this offense. A fine for this is a fine of $25. Violation of this law is a misdemeanor and carries with it a fine of not more than $25 for a first offense and not more than $250 for a second or subsequent offense. So it is something that could be pulled over for by the police. He doesn't seem to have to give his ID because, of course, he wasn't the driver, and he doesn't seem to have to give his identifying information because he wasn't being arrested. However, he's making statements that now are possibly perceivable as possibly making threats. So we might be looking at some sort of obstruction charge. Unfortunately, we have no further video, so we don't see how it all played out. Whether the guy was allowed to go out of his way, whether or not he was pulled to the police station, or what else happened. So unclear how this incident all arrived. But my friends, regardless of the law, please buckle up for safety. It is good thing to do. You want to make sure that you're safe, and try to keep yourself safe out there so that we'll all make sure that we make our way home. Not an ideal interaction, and for love of God, if you're going to invoke your right to remain silent, here's the key: remain silent. That's it. Just do that, right? Please don't keep saying things. If you say, I want to remain silent, and then keep talking, it doesn't work. So that's a real pro tip. But until later, my friends, I've been Uncivil Law for Attorneys Reacts. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time on this wonderful program.
Big verdict.